A day full of breaking news out of Washington, where the Mueller report is now finally out. That's our top story tonight. I'm Kate Davison.
And I'm Rich Pierce. It's being scoured by teams of people on both sides of the aisle, including Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman, who's in Washington with reaction from both the president and his critics.
Well, the initial summary report was just 4 pages long. This is 448 with large sections that are redacted. But what is still in here is plenty.
No collusion, no obstruction. There never was, by the way, and there never will be.
The president essentially claiming victory Thursday at an event for wounded warriors, alongside his tweet, "For the haters and the radical left Democrats, game over." That after the Attorney General's news conference backing the president.
After nearly 2 years of investigation, thousands of subpoenas, hundreds of warrants, and witness interviews, the special counsel confirmed that the Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
Democrats instantly reacted too, calling it all partisan spin and accused Attorney General Barr of protecting his boss. But delivered to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees was also insight. When Trump first learned of the special counsel appointment, according to notes by the Attorney General's chief of staff, the president slumped back in his chair and said, "Oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency. I'm expletive." As for obstruction, Mueller indicated the president tried but failed, saying his efforts to influence the investigation were mostly unsuccessful, but that is largely because the persons who surrounded the president declined to carry out orders. While there are still investigations on the Hill and the controversy isn't going away soon either, Trump indicated, is he.
Well, this is really beautiful. This will find a permanent place, at least for 6 years, in the Oval Office. Is that okay?
Critics, though, will still point to that summary on obstruction, where Mueller wrote that the report doesn't conclude the president committed a crime, but it also doesn't exonerate him. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
There are more than 400 pages from the special counsel's team to sift through. Later in the show, we'll take a closer look at the content of the Mueller report. Meanwhile, we talked to Congressman Bill Johnson about the release of the report. Johnson feels that the report gives the truth, but there is more work to be done.
But we need to find out who fabricated this hoax, and was it done by people wearing official titles within the federal government? Because if it was, Paul, that's a violation of the law.
Congressman Johnson also said that he hopes the release of the report allows the country to move on and focus on issues that are important to the American people.
Authorities are launching a criminal investigation into the disappearance of a teenager from Ohio. 14-year-old Jonathan Menard was last seen April 14th. Amani Abram has the latest.
You know what? I haven't slept for 3 nights.
Restless nights after days of searching, with hundreds coming out to look through wooded areas. And combing through the last place Jonathan Menard was seen when he went to help milk cows at a farm near New Harrisburg. The boy reportedly took a break and did not return to the farm after complaining of a toothache, but he didn't return home.
If you seriously know where he's at and what has happened to him, please tell us. I mean, we're begging you. I mean, this is our last hope.
Sheriff Dale Williams says this case is unlike others in the county and says something just doesn't add up.
We're talking about a young man that has no cell phone, that doesn't have any money, and he's been gone for 3 or 4 days. It's pretty suspicious to me.
He says there's a person of interest that has been questioned, but he has not been named a suspect. He says detectives have been diving deeper into the case, but stopped short of releasing details that he says could compromise the investigation.
And obviously I know some things about this case that I'm not going to reveal. And we want to be able to get this solved, get this taken care of, and make sure it's right.
Jonathan's family is still holding on to hope that he will be found. Detectives are asking anyone with information on tips to call the Carroll County Sheriff's Office.
Cell phone use while driving contributes to more than 25% of all automobile crashes this month. Officers are trying to remind people of the dangers of distracted driving. News 9's Jamie Baker joins us live with more now. Jamie.
Rich, sending a text while driving is actually equal to driving the length of a football field while blindfolded. So the Wheeling Police Department is really looking to crack down on distracted drivers.
At least once a month have specific patrols aimed at distracted driving and preventing distracted driving.
The Wheeling Police Department has made it a priority to stop and ticket drivers who are on their cell phones. State code says any cell phone calls must come through a hands-free device, which means no hand-to-ear, no texting, and no conversations on speakerphone.
Texting, calling, all of that kind of stuff distracts you from the road. You cannot do all the things that you need to do to be a good driver and use your cell phone.
But it's not just phones that can take your mind off the road. Sanders says he's seen people eating food, applying makeup, and even shaving, all of which can be dangerous for you and others.
I've seen people reading the newspaper while they're driving, holding the steering wheel and the newspaper. It's very dangerous. Anything that makes you do two things at once. Driving is very important. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do, and anything that can distract you from that is going to cause a crash.
According to a report, 8 people are killed each day in crashes that involve distracted driving. So Sanders urges everyone to put down the phone and focus.
That's a lot of stuff that can be prevented if you just ignore your phone, don't read the paper, don't eat a bowl of cereal, just drive.
And Sanders says there will be plenty of patrols happening, especially because April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Live in Wheeling, I'm Jamie Baker, News 9 live at 5.
An investigation into drug activity led to the arrest of 2 people and a call to Children's Services last night. 2 people were charged after a police raid on South 5th Street Wednesday evening. Devin Brandon was charged with trafficking in drugs and Aaron Richmond with carrying a concealed weapon. Children's Services was called on behalf of a baby inside the home, which officials called unfit for habitation. Brandon and Richmond are to appear in court today. They were among 7 people in the house.
Severe Weather Team 9 coverage for you now. Let's take a live look outside. It was a warm and, well, downright beautiful day here in the Ohio Valley.
No doubt about that. Let's turn it over to Severe Weather Team 9 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Carter. Kevin.
Though not completely without issues, there were a few showers around, even some rumbles of thunder. I went 20% chance, my estimation of those showers, but again, some of them did pop up here and there. Let's move on here and take a look at the satellite radar composite if we can, and we're going to see these rain showers kind of have come and gone over this 6-hour loop. We can pop that up there. There we go. We see nothing at the here at the beginning. We see some showers. There were a couple of rumbles of thunder. For now, we're mainly dry. And look at these temperatures, upper 70s and some low 80s to the south, and we could still add on a degree or two from what we're seeing. Dew points are in the 40s and 50s, winds 15-20 miles per hour. There are some higher gusts around, but a cold front is approaching. That means a better chance of showers and storms as we go forward. We'll take a look at that forecast in a few minutes.
Coming up on News 9 Live at 5, Steubenville received federal grant money today. How it will help the community next.
QB1, baby. Just call me Baker Mayfield. Oh, Baker to Jarvis. Got it. Ah!
Still to come, Kate takes to the gridiron, see if she can top some Harrison Central Huskies later on. News 9 Live at 5.
The Ohio Valley from Tower Cam 9, brought to you by WMC Tri-State Medical Network.
Federal grant money is coming to Steubenville to help kids in the area whose families are dealing with opioid addictions. The Steubenville Parks and Recreation Department is one of 5 departments in the Appalachian region to be granted a $100,000 grant from the National Recreation and Parks Association. The grant will be used to help start a mentoring program for kids impacted by the opioid epidemic. Over the next year, staff members from the Parks and Rec Department will go through training, and after that, the program will launch to help 20 to 30 kids in the Steubenville area.
So I think it would be beneficial to partner them with adults that can teach them honesty and respect and things such as how to avoid drug abuse, drug use, and self-esteem and those kind of things along the way.
Over the next several months, the National Recreation and Parks Association will do a needs assessment to figure out what would work best for area kids, and the local department will work to find mentors.
Edison local schools have a new deal with teachers and the superintendent. Superintendent Bill Beatty was granted a 5-year contract extension by the Edison Local Board of Education. He served in the district for the past 7 years. The district and its teachers reached agreement on a 3-year contract. The previous deal was extended after it expired last June. The board also approved a $500,000 contract with Vasco of Massillon for a new track at Edison High School. Coming up, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Carter is in Severe Weather Center 9 with the very latest on your forecast next.
And the Mueller report is public. We're diving into the contents of the long-awaited report next.
At the Ohio Valley from Tower Cam 9, brought to you by WMC Tri-State Medical Network.
It was widely expected that the Mueller report would feature 3 main sections, one focused on Russian interference in the 2016 campaign, another on allegations President Trump tried to obstruct the probe,
and a third assessing whether the Kremlin possessed compromising information on President Trump. Yet Sinclair investigative reporter James Rosen tells us one of those sections never materialized.
To close observers of the work of special counsel Robert Mueller, the most striking aspect of his nearly 500-page final report, now public in redacted form, may be what wasn't in it at all.
It was a counterintelligence investigation.
And that fact led many Trump critics to predict the Mueller report would address whether the president is effectively being blackmailed by the Kremlin. Georgetown law professor Martin Lederman wrote in the Washington Post, Mueller's primary charge in particular is to ascertain the nature and extent of the Russian threat. This naturally includes assessing whether, how, and to what extent Trump is compromised or is otherwise unable to perform his constitutional duties on behalf of the nation when it comes to matters involving Russia. Yet the Mueller report contains no material whatsoever about alleged compromise on the president.
The president took no act that in fact deprived the special counsel of the documents and witnesses necessary to complete his investigation.
But the Mueller report states, quote, President Trump engaged in efforts to curtail the special counsel's investigation and prevent the disclosure of evidence to it, including through public and private contacts with potential witnesses.
The president probably has the power to end the investigation under the unified executive. It's still difficult to find where the line into constitutionally permissible criminal conduct by the president was crossed.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
That remark, perhaps half in jest, was taken seriously in Moscow, where 5 hours later, according to the Mueller report, hackers working for Unit 26165 of the GRU, Russian military intelligence, already successful in compromising Democratic National Committee servers, targeted Hillary Clinton's personal office for the first time. After candidate Trump's remarks, the report states Unit 26165 created and sent malicious links targeting 15 email accounts linked to Secretary Clinton. It is unclear how the GRU was able to identify these email accounts, which were not public. One redacted passage concerned an allegation involving former President Clinton and the Kremlin. This information was conveyed to Jared Kushner in 2016, but the president's son-in-law later told the FBI it couldn't be operationalized. In Washington, James Rosen.
And that brings us to our WTOV9.com survey. Tonight's question, now that the Mueller report has been released, do you think the president obstructed justice? Head to our website, WTOV9.com. Click the banner that says Question of the Day to cast your vote. We'll have the results for you tonight at 11 on News 9 Tonight.